Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my garden. Today I am going to be showing you the art of Espalier. Espalier? Yes, Espalier. I learned about it in one of my recent uni subjects and I have become obsessed. So my plan is to use some of that form of Espalier in my garden. But first, what is it? Well, let me tell you more.
Espalier can be defined as fruit trees growing flat. They can be shaped and trained in various sizes and shapes and designs and adds a real art element to your garden.
Now the grand plan is to basically create a trellis behind me here. Different poles in between certain lengths with wire going through so I can then put my apple trees in and they'll grow kind of sideways and up, if that makes sense. So I'm going to try to do that today and take you through the process and how I create this trellis. First, I need to get rid of all this that's already existing. Don't worry, some of it will be reused in my garden. And then we can get started. The weather is looking very gloomy as well, so we'll see how far I can get with my lovely trellis today before it starts raining on me. So I'm really excited to take you along how I'm going to create this. I'm just so excited because it's going to create such a new dimension in my garden, as well as having more fruit trees with minimal space as such. That's the real perk of it. So let's get started cleaning this mess up. Decided to rain on me and there's some thunder and lightning around, so I think I'll be calling it quits and doing this tomorrow. I might measure up where the poles are going, but I'm gonna go and have some lunch.
So the key thing with Espalier is to make sure you select your fruit trees and then you create the support structure that's going to best suit them and how they grow. So I'm just going to do a simple trellis. Come along with me on this journey, gather your materials and let's do this together. It's going to be a lot of fun. No vintage glamour to see here, just a girl determined to get this project done.
I highly recommend a post digger rather than doing it by hand because that just saved me a whole lot of time. I did use the little hand digger right at the end just to get right down to the bottom. Some of these have like rocks and stuff in it, so it was really hard to do, but onto cement. Okay, so the poles are in, they're cemented, they're not perfect, but they will do. They should be structurally sound to put the wire in. So I'm doing a suspension wire, I think that's what it's called, like a tension wire. But basically there'll be holes through the main poles here to string the wire through, and at the end there'll be like these little tension mechanisms. I'll show them to you. But I found that this will be the most expensive part to this project. Those little bits and tension wire, I think it's called tension, I'm not quite sure to be honest, I'm no expert. They were like $10 a pop nearly for like a little kit for one. So I try to make it cheap as possible slash using multiple bits to basically kind of make it happen. We'll see how we go, but what I'm basically thinking is anchoring the start of the wire, two of them like alternative on one pole at the start and then the last pole, and then I'll feed the wire through. And then instead of having little crimpets, like you can get wire crimpets, I don't have the the pliers to do that. So basically I found something like the next best thing. So I'll go through that with you as well. But basically this will create the structure for the plant to basically rely on and grow on. So that's why we really want to make sure, if you're not suspending them into the ground with concrete, that you are adding like an extra beam or like support beam at the top or the bottom to make sure that it lasts, basically, because the Espalier, when you do it, the trees are going to last for 50 plus years maybe, so you want the structure to support it through its whole life. So I'm just going to go and measure up, hence why I'm waving this thing around, to work out the wire. I'm basically going to work out 4 points along down the pole to put the wire. So I'm going to do that. So my poles are about, hopefully about, probably should measure it, but about 1.8. So I'm just trying to work out spacing to do 4 of these wire strands, and then I'll copy that for the rest of the poles. So I'm thinking going down about 30, another 30, so I'll do that one there, another 30, that one there. So hopefully that will be enough for once it grows during its lifetime, in between kind of thing. And I have to make sure, because these are second hand, that there's no nails to where I'm going to drill through, because we don't want that. Drill bits and metal bits, we don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So far it's looking okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll start drilling each of the holes. We'll see how we go. It's a bit of a process, but cross fingers, it all works out. Lucky I didn't drill. The end one does not need drilling. It needs a little bracket brace thing. So no drilling there. No drilling there. Oh my goodness. All of them except the ends. Not the ends. Don't do the ends. So I'll do the middle ones that the wire's going to go through. And also, because the way that I've done mine, instead of being straight, I've got like a little corner that turns for the last one. So I've had to put the pole on an angle, so rather than flat like the rest, I've kind of put it on an angle so that it will kind of like, hopefully the wire will go through it on an angle to the last one that will be on an angle. So they'll kind of connect, because it's going to go around a corner. So it's all part of experiment, trial and error. It's coming together though. I'm really happy. So I'm going to finish this off and we'll work out how to do the ends. The way you can do these trellises with the Espalier is you don't have to do what I'm doing with the tension rods or whatever they're called. You can do the wire like I've done here with the string. You kind of just like wrap it around the poles as such. You can do that, but I just find that sometimes, what happens if it lags over time or the tree gets heavy, will it still support it, and will you be able to tighten the wire enough for it to support it? So I feel like, because Espalier and trees and fruit trees in general last forever, for a couple of number of years, might as well make a really solid structure that's going to help last it through its journey, its lifetime. So I've drilled the holes. I'm now going to put the wire through and start doing the ends of each end to tie the wire in. It's coming together. So this is what I got. I've got 2mm wire. It looks like that. That will go through the holes in these thingies and these guys. And they're kind of like, they're a wire grip. I'm just hoping that they'll be strong enough to kind of like tension the wire as I need it. And then I got these guys. You can see that. That will be for each of the poles. So I'll need 4, 8 in total.
So I end up changing the design of how I secured the wire in the end. I end up deciding just using these little saddle thingies, 4 on one end, 4 on the other, and basically thread them through, and didn't require those tension bits at all. because I just thought it's so much easier and so much simpler, and I just relied on the wire grips to give me the tension and to secure the wire securely, basically. I'll show you the final end result of what I end up doing. I think it worked out alright.
Thinking I might continuously wire it and then just have like one anchoring point at the top and one at the bottom. That way I'll have less materials required to secure the wire, and I save some money by taking things back and don't need. Okay, I might do that. I'll show you what I do in the end, so to give you some guidance.
So the end result, I end up using a wire grip at the top of the pole, and then I thread the wire through, as you can see here, continuously threading it, and then the last anchor point I added 2 just to really secure the wire grips, and then I'll cut that excess wire off. But pretty much the tension is looking okay through hand threading it and using those wire grips. So this is how it looks right through the poles, through the holes, and then at the end what I did, I just simply put the wire through continuously, meaning I didn't need any like anchoring points or wire grips. I think this was the easiest and most simplest way to do this, and still quite effective. Here is a close-up of the wire threading through the pole, and then basically each space in between the poles will become my fruit tree areas where I'll plant my fruit trees. So in between the poles, so like one will go here, and then the next one, it will go over to this there, and so forth. And I think it's going to work. It's going to look great.
Well, after all the fun of making the trellises, it's now time to put your trees in. Now, I've chosen deciduous trees, fruit trees, as it's perfect time during like winter when they're dormant to start planting them, because they're less disturbed, and then you can also kind of trim them up to how you want them to be shaped. Depending on the fruit tree, or the tree in general, depends on the shapes that are available. Some trees tend to be more flexible depending on the type of wood they are, to do all sorts of fancy designs. For me, I'm doing some apple trees and a cherry tree. So with the apple trees, I'm just going to do like a T shape, so they go out like that, so like straight out either side. And then with the cherry, I've decided to do a fan shape, so they'll kind of be like V's like that. And actually, ironically, my tree that arrived, it already has a stem that's out, so I thought, perfect, this is a great demonstration of how to basically set your tree up for success. So basically, you just plant your tree as normal when it's deciduous, when it's asleep. Make sure you spread the roots out, and then make sure the soil is then up to about basically the line where it was at the nursery, because you'll kind of see a line. But this tree, I don't know if it's because I soaked it in sea salt, I could not see that line, so I had to kind of make my own judgment. And then I've sort of positioned it in between the 2 rungs here. And so it's in the middle of the 2 rungs, and this lovely thing with main stem going up, and then it's sort of branch going outwards. So eventually that's going to grow out, and then you're just going to kind of like slightly tie them, not like restrictive tie, but guide it to sit there. And then same with any other branch that goes out. If it's in the wrong position, you'll have to cut it off, but you just tend to like follow the branches as they go and attach them to the wires that you've done. That kind of explains it. I'll also link some videos that helped me, especially one that was, I think, from Gardening Australia. I loved it to bits. It was really great advice, so I'll put that one in the description as well for you to do your own research. I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just a novice gardener with a very big grand design of this amazing garden that I'm creating at the moment. So I hope you found this helpful. As a visual person, I will add some detailed close-ups of like key things I did that might help you if you plan to do this as well. So I hope you found this interesting and helpful and learnt about the world of Espalier. There's some great books out there, some great videos. I highly recommend you look into it, especially if you don't have much room in your garden. It is the perfect way to basically maximize the amount of fruit trees you have. And it's really exciting, and it makes them look all pretty and like an art form as well. So that's what I love about it. Well, anyway, my cherry tree is happy sitting there, and when I get my apple trees, I'll be putting them in on the two other rows over there. Overall, I think it went well. This is probably not as tight as I would like, but I think the whole idea of what I've created with what I've got and trying to like get the price down as well, I think it's a pretty fantastic result. And the wood I got secondhand as well, cheap as well, so that was even better. So yeah, have fun and let me know if you try this out in your garden. I'd love to see what people have done, because there's some examples out there but not a lot, so let me know. Bye.